Michael Bloomberg is pouring money into social media ads. The Democratic presidential hopeful spending $1 million a day on Facebook ads just over the past 2 weeks, according to data compiled by NBC News. That's more than President Donald Trump. Joining us right now to talk about Bloomberg's position in the 2020 race is Perella Weinberg Partners Chairman Bob Steele, who also served, we should say, as Deputy Mayor for Economic Development in the Bloomberg administration. Good morning.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Super Tuesday.
March 3rd.
Is that, will we know one way or the other on Super Tuesday whether this is going to work or not going to work?
I think that over the course of March, there are a lot of elections on the 3rd, on the 10th, and on the 17th. And over the month of March, a clear picture will become apparent as to how the mayor is connecting with people and how they're reacting to his candidacy. Okay. That's been the plan all along.
So if it's reacting well, obviously he continues. But my question is, if for whatever reason Super Tuesday doesn't work the way he wants it to, or maybe the next couple of weeks don't, is he going to very quickly pivot to decide, okay, I'm going to support somebody else individually? He's obviously talked about supporting whoever the nominee is, but how is he thinking about that? Well,
I think hypotheticals are hard to respond to, Andrew, but I think what the mayor has said is that he's in it to win it. He's working very hard. Yesterday, every day out telling his story, and as you said, using technology, media, knowledge to present his case. As it becomes clear during March, he said that if he's not successful, he'll support the Democrat candidate because he's in favor of a change in the White House.
What's success, though? I mean, is success 10%
well, I think you have to start to collect delegates.
Okay, so actually collecting delegates.
Exactly, because that's the way it's chosen.
Mike is very smart, and there were, when he said, you know, if Biden is not going to do it, then that's the only way I would get in. And he was before any of we knew. It's now history what we saw in the Iowa caucus in New Hampshire. But when Mike entered, people still thought Biden was very viable. It was like, what's Mike thinking? He was absolutely right. Well, at that point, it was already clear to Mike, but not to everyone else, that Biden probably wasn't a viable candidate.
The mayor had come to peace with the idea that he was not going to run. In the course of the autumn, he became to believe that he was the person who could bring the game best to the president and challenge him in the
But he said he wouldn't do it if he thought Biden was going to be able to do it. Right. And he saw early on, the canary in the coal mine, that Biden... I mean, do you think Biden can come back from this?
I think it's going to be very, very challenging.
I think it's going to be very challenging.
I want to ask you about superdelegates, because one of the things that people do worry about is that, and I don't know if it's a worry, but that Bloomberg gets the superdelegates, you get to some kind of brokered convention, but then it sends the entire party into disarray over how, if he were to win the nomination because of the superdelegates, that would almost undermine what's happening here.
I think people are going to have to focus on, when you survey voters in the Democrat Party, the key issue, everyone says, number one issue is who can change the White House, who can beat President Trump. And in the end, people have to decide, do they want to make a point with a candidate or do they want to defeat the president? And my view, as someone who worked with him, and I've watched him connect with people, that he's a candidate that is, I believe, among the best who can collect progressives, independents, and moderate Republicans.
What do you make of the idea that most of the big themes that Mayor Bloomberg's talking about have nothing to do with the economy? He very rarely talks about the economy per se. He does talk about jobs to some degree, but most of the advertising is focused on climate, it's focused on guns, it's focused on getting Trump out of office based on character. Do you think that he has to touch on the economy, or is that the Achilles heel here?
Or is that the move to the center if he gets the nomination?
I'm not sure I take that on. I think that when you look at I said number one is changing the White House. When we go through the 4 issues, I believe it's health care, climate, education, and the economy. And the economy has 2 parts: grow the economy and shared success. And I believe that whether you look at raising the minimum wage, understanding the importance of a predictable, logical budget, running $1 trillion deficit at this stage in the economic cycle is not logical. Right. It just isn't.
Here's the one thing that and I'm not going to say I'm playing devil's advocate, because I kind of believe this myself. So it comes to the point where Mayor Mike is the nominee. So we know that the entire Democratic side is not going to vote for Trump. So you would assume that even if it's a little distasteful, you would say, well, who are progressives going to vote for, if not Mike Bloomberg? but how many AOC, Bernie, Elizabeth Warren Democrats stay at home? Well, there's no energy. There's no, they just are so disillusioned with the whole process that Bernie's not there, or that we don't have a they don't have, not we, believe me, but that they don't have a progressive candidate, and there's just no energy, and they don't turn out, even though they wouldn't vote for Trump, but not enough of them come out for Mike.
As I said a second ago, the #1 issue when you poll is a change in the White House, and people have to decide.
You know what I mean, though, right? You think AOC Democrats are going to rush to young people are going to rush to the polls to vote for a billionaire?
We'll see. People want to frame it that way. I also think, Joe, you have to understand this is going to come down to a small number of states.
Right, 70,000 people spread over 10 states. Right?
Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Arizona, North Carolina, Florida.
You think they want a New Yorker telling them how to run things?
I believe that, as I said, the #1 issue is to have
two New Yorkers.
Right. We're going to have to go, but I do have to ask you, how is he going to confront the challenge of, and it just happened again, the tape that came out this week on Stop and Frisk and what he said about the minority community? Because it's something that I think...
There's a weird answer. He goes, well, that was 5 years ago. It's like, well, you were in your 70s 5 years ago. You weren't in your teens.
Well, I think that when Mayor Bloomberg left office in 2013, he said he would have no comments on anything related to the city. None. And he lived by that. And when he decided to run for president, he thought he had to address this issue. Right. And he said two things. And he wrote about it, and he spoke about it, and he's continued to do it. He said two things. One, in hindsight, I wish we had reduced stop and frisk at a faster rate. And he said, I did not understand the effect on the community and what this did with regard to culture and things like that. And I apologize. And that's what he said. I think it's a forceful answer. People will have to process it in their own way. I think his record on reducing crime and also reducing incarceration and his focus recently on policies to support the minority community will hopefully punch through this issue.